Good morning, everyone. Let me welcome you to this first session on fundamentals of financial accounting, paper 2. Now, we are likely we will have a number of webinar session on this paper 2 to cover in multiple topics. So today I am starting with a very important topic uh, for the examination purpose under paper 2, which is the consignment. Now, regarding our mode of delivery and interaction, you may ask question if you want during the discussion in the chat box section. I will regularly visit the chat box section and will take up the question, and accordingly will try to interact with you within the discussion. Regarding the presentation, basically, this web session recording will be available in the institute website, so you can also have access of that recording afterwards. However, the notes that I am sharing through this classroom, it may not be possible for you to access those notes directly from the website. So that is why I have created one Google Classroom. I will share the classroom code shortly. If you can join that Google Classroom, you will find those notes that I am presenting, that I am going to deliver, already uploaded in that particular section. So from that you can download the direct notes, this PDF notes. Okay. Otherwise, the recording is always available in the institute website. You can have access of that of that particular presentation, and you can take snapshot of the notes as well. Okay. Okay, so let me start with our today's presentation. Today's topic, actually, it is actually in your study material given as given under study note 2.2, accounting for special transactions, along with certain other topic like bill of exchange, joint venture, etc. Now the topic that I am going to discuss today is consignment accounting. Now, under this particular discussion, I will try to cover the basic aspects of consignment accounting, the conceptual aspects of consignment I will discuss, and also I will touch upon the basic accounting procedure under consignment. However, since it is a 1 hour, it is an 1 hour class only. It may not be possible for us to cover all the possible or all the different type of consignment problem, consignment accounting related problem in detail. Okay, so I will be a bit selective in covering the different areas as well. Now, let me start today. Uh, Regarding the consignment, basically an organization, when it wants to expand its business activities, business territories, it has multiple options. In order to increase the sale, the organization can simply open a branch in the desired location and thereby can sell the goods it produces directly to the customers. Another alternative will be to form a joint venture. Sometimes when the organization doesn't want to invest too much in the new location, in the new market, the organization may team up with another person and form a joint venture. And in that particular joint venture, the organization may actually supply the goods, and that other person, he may take the responsibility of selling the goods because he is in a sense the local person. So joint venture is another alternative of accessing the new markets. However, a better alternative always is a consignment kind of a transaction where the organization doesn't need to invest too much, but at the same time has an accountability from the other person who is liable to sell the goods against certain commission. So a well arrangement selling mechanism can be established in the new markets if you just access the market by entering into a contract with a local person to act as the sales agent against certain commission and send the goods to him for the selling purpose. Now, what is consignment? Consignment includes the following process. Under consignment, first of all, a contract is initiated between the main person or the producer of the goods or the main seller of the goods with the person who will be acting as the agent of this main person, and on behalf of this main person, he will be selling the goods in some other market at certain commission. This main person is known as the consignor, and the person who is appointed as the agent is the consignee. So basically, consignment is a selling arrangement where the consignor, maybe the producer or maybe the importer or main buyer, dealer of the goods, will send the goods for sale to the consignee, the agent, to some other place, and that consignee against certain commission will sell the goods and remit the process to the consignee, the consignor, after deducting his commission and the expenses he incurred for the purpose of selling the goods. Okay, so this entire arrangement is called the consignment. So if you just go through the process, then you find that under consignment, first of all, the goods are sent by the consignor to the consignee. The consignee may pay some advances, or otherwise it may accept a bill of exchange in favor of the consignee, so that the consignee can discount that bill of exchange and get the money, get some advance money already. Then consignee will incur expenses for selling the goods, because the consignee is the local agent for selling those goods. He or she may need to incur certain expenses for the purpose of sale, so that will be incurred by the consignee. Obviously, these expenses will ultimately be borne by the consignor, who is the real owner and the dealer of the goods. Consignee maintains records of all such cash and credit sales and will inform the same through a summary result called the account sales. The consignee will prepare a summary results or account sales, and he will send the summary result with to the consignor from time to time on a regular interval to inform him what amount of sales has been actually affected. And finally, consignor will pay the commission to the consignee for his sales effort. So this is the entire arrangement of consignment. Now, the basic advantage of consignment from the other type of selling arrangements, such as the branch or forming a joint venture, okay, are basically it doesn't need too much investment. Only some agents are to be appointed, and the agents will be offered certain good amount of discount, a good amount of commission, and against such commission they will be ready to sell your goods. So you need not to put huge amount of investment to open a branch, to appoint the employees, and to see the regular matters just like in a branch accounting, or to find out a partner and share the profits with that partner, because joint venture will require you to share the profit from the business with that particular person. So that will not be required. So in that sense, consignment will simply require you to make minimum amount of investment, send the goods to the consignee, ask the consignee to sell the goods, incur certain expenses, and remit the rest of the amount after deducting his commission and expenses incurred by him to you. So in that way, consignment is a better way of selling goods, specifically in some other market where you do not have such strong base, or where you are not playing as the main player. Okay, just you are going to access that market as the as your extension activity of the business. Okay, so in that way, consignment is better. Now, one question may be just discuss in this context, how consignment is different from an ordinary sale. Now, obviously, consignment is different from an ordinary sale, because here, in case of consignment, the legal ownership is not transferred to the consignee. The consignor will be sending only the goods for the purpose of sale, and consignee on behalf of the consignor will sell the goods to the buyer. So sending goods to the consignee doesn't mean that the consignor is transferring the legal ownership. Only possession is transferred. However, in case of sale, when the seller is transferring goods to the buyer, he is transferring the legal ownership as well as the possession. Okay. Relationship in case of consignment is between principal and the agent, but in case of sale, it is a buyer and seller arrangement. In case of consignment, since principal or the consignor is the owner of the goods until those goods are finally delivered to the buyer by the consignor, by the consignee, the risk of damage remains with the consignor. So in the premises of the consignee itself, if the goods gets damaged, the loss is to be borne by the consignor and not by the consignee, because the legal owner is still the consignor until and until the goods are transferred to the buyer. Okay, so goods lying with the consignee, if those goods gets damaged due to some abnormal accident, then the loss will be on the consignor and not on the consignee. But in case of sell, once you transfer the goods to the buyer, every risk of loss will be on the buyer. Now, expenses in case of consignment, after the goods are transferred to the consignee, even if the consignee is incurring certain expenses, those expenses are being incurred on behalf of the consignor. So here the expenses will be borne by the consignor. But in case of sale, once you transfer the goods to the buyer, all the subsequent expenses to take those goods to its godown or any other location by the buyer will be borne by the buyer itself. So in that way, consignment and sales are different. Now, in case of consignment, basically two important documents are there. Okay. First of all, there is one document called pro forma invoice. Actually, at the time of sending the goods by the consignor to the consignee, consignor prepares a statement showing all the details of goods sent. That is, what is the quantity of goods, what is the description of the goods, what is the price of the goods, or what is the expected price at which it is to be sold. That is, what is the invoice price of the goods that will be mentioned. Similarly, what is the expected selling price that may be mentioned in that particular invoice called the pro forma invoice. So the quality, the quantity or description all are mentioned in the pro forma invoice, and through this pro forma invoice the consignor communicates the information relating to the goods sent to the consignee. Now when the goods are actually sold, the amount of or the quantity of goods sold, the price at which those were sold, so the total amount of sale proceeds received by the consignee, less any expenses incurred by the consignee, less the commission charged by the consignee, and what is the net amount remitted to the consignor, those information are included in one document called the account sales. So account sales are prepared by the consignee, and these are sent to the consignor to inform the details about the goods sold, the quantity of goods sold, the price of the goods sold, the expenses incurred by the consignee, and the commission charged by the consignee. So in that way, pro forma invoice and account sales, these are not similar. These are two different type of accounts. Okay, type of actual documents. Now in case of consignment, basically the consignee sells the goods for certain commission. So he is offered certain commission. Now these commissions are mainly of three different types. First of all, the ordinary commission. Just the consignee, in order to put its effort to sell, in order to sell the goods, simply he is entitled to get this ordinary commission. So in case of ordinary commission, say at the rate 10%, it is calculated always on the amount of sales, total amount of sales, ordinary commission. Okay. In case of del creditor commission, basically it is the additional commission over and above the ordinary commission, which is paid by the consignor to the consignee to promote credit sales. So this extra commission the consignee is offered to take the risk of bad debt loss in case of credit sale, because if the consignee is instructed to sell the goods on credit, the question that arises that there may be some bad debt on such credit sales, and who will bear the bad debt? Now since the goods are, the ownership of the goods is with the consignor, so certainly the bad debt loss, the onus of the bad debt loss is on the consignor. But what happens, the consignor is not a local person in that new market. The consignee is the local person, so he will be in an advantageous position to collect the credit sale proceeds. And if the consignee is given some additional commission and asked to perform those tasks of collecting the proceeds also, and if any bad debt arises, to take on that bad debt also, then by offering certain additional commission, the consignee may admit such offer of selling the goods on credit and be responsible for collecting the proceeds, and if any bad debt arises, to bear that bad debt also. So Delegated commission is the additional commission over and above the ordinary commission, which is again calculated on total sales, for which the consignee will be selling the goods on credit, will take the responsibility of collecting the proceeds from the buyers to whom the goods are sold on credit, and also to bear the bad debt loss if any. So that is delegated commission. Now this delegated commission is not a mandatory kind of arrangement. Only when the consignor feels that goods may be sold at the credit and the consignee can put some extra effort to sell the goods to receive the proceeds to bear the bad debt loss, then only the delegated commission will be offered to him. There may be certain additional commission which will act as a means of promotion, which will induce the consignee to sell more, is called the special commission. So these special commissions may be share in the profits of the organization for this selling arrangement, that is consignment profit. A part of the same may be shared with the consignee as a special commission, or it may be a fixed amount of bonus given to the consignee for the purpose of selling the goods beyond the invoice price, that is to fetch more price than the expected price by the consignor. So these are the special commission, and obviously the terms will differ from contract to contract. Now in case of consignor, in case of consignment, certain expenses are incurred. Now these expenses are incurred by both the consignor and the consignee. Why these expenses are incurred? Because the consignor needs to send the goods to the consignee, so it needs to incur certain expenses such as freight, such as certain insurance premium, etc. On the other hand, consignee on receipt of the goods will need to incur certain expenses to take those goods to its own godown. Certain carriage freight has to be incurred, then rent has to be incurred, then certain loading unloading charges may be incurred to load and unload the consignments. Certain additional expenses such as carriage outward, etc., even insurance may need to be incurred at the consignee's place. Now these expenses need to be classified in two categories for the purpose of valuing the closing stock and abnormal loss, if any. Now the expenses are recurring expenses or non-recurring expenses. Recurring expenses are those expenses which are incurred repetitively by the consignor or consignee, and non-recurring expenses are those which are not incurred repetitively, which are incurred once only, okay, on a certain consignment. Once these goods are incurred, expenses are incurred. Now example of recurring expenses are rent, carriage outward, insurance, while non-recurring expenses are freight, carriage inward, loading charges, unloading charges, etc. Obviously you cannot directly specify a particular expense to be always recurring or always non-recurring. It depends. Normally, if nothing specifically is mentioned, then all the expenses incurred by the consignor are treated as non-recurring expenses, while expenses incurred by the consignee may be recurring as well as non-recurring. Now, one of the very important aspect of consignment accounting is the valuation of the closing stock. Now, why it is so? Because as in case of consignment, the consignor is sending goods to the consignee, it may not be expected that within the accounting period, all the goods will be sold by the consignee. So if at the end of the accounting period, certain goods remain at the consignee's end, it is not expected that you will take back that goods and again in the at the opening of the new accounting year, that goods will be resold. Rather, you will keep those goods, those stock with the consignee. So there may be certain closing stock lying with the consignee at the end of the accounting period. Since this is a closing stock, in order to prepare your final accounts, that is balance sheet and trading PL account, you need to value this closing stock, because we know that closing stock related adjustment is to be done at the end of the accounting period. That closing stock may be anywhere, at your shop, at your godown, or with the consignee itself. So that valuation of closing stock is required to be done. Now, how this valuation is done? Now, at any point of time, value of a closing stock is the cost incurred on such goods up to the present location and present position of the goods. Now, since the goods are lying with the consignee, so not only the original cost or cost price of the goods, but all expenses incurred to keep those goods at the consignee's end should be added to the value of the closing stock on consignment. Now, in order to have that calculation, the consignee expenses and the consignor expenses are to be added. Now here the formula will be then cost of goods plus proportionate non-recurring expenses. It will be consignor instead of consignee. It will be consignor. Okay, and plus proportionate non-recurring expenses by the consignee. Okay, so those two expenses are to be, just let me correct it a bit. It will be consignor. I will rectify and upload the correct note in the classroom. So if you visit the classroom, we will get this corrected. So non-recurring expenses incurred by the consignor plus proportionate non-recurring expenses by the consignee. Okay. Okay. Now this valuation aspect I will discuss with the help of one example. Another important issue with the consignment is the loss. Now, during the transit or when the goods are lying with the consignees go down, there may be certain loss, normal as well as abnormal. So these losses, normal loss or abnormal loss, are to be appropriately treated. Now, regarding normal loss, you may be quite aware that normal loss is not accounted at all. That is, for normal loss, actually we do not assign any cost. How then it will be treated? It will be totally ignored. That is, the cost of the normal loss will not be accounted. However, this normal loss will be absorbed by the good units. That means only you will reduce the normal loss units from your total unit, and the remaining unit will now share the total cost. So in that way, the good unit will absorb the cost of the normal loss. However, it is not done with the abnormal loss. So for abnormal loss, the valuation will be similar to the process mentioned in case of closing stock on consignment. So cost of the goods plus proportionate non-recurring expenses by the consignor plus proportionate non-recurring expenses by the consignee will be the process of calculating the abnormal loss. Now let me come to the accounting treatment. Okay, very briefly let me cover the basic accounting treatment, that is, other than the situation of credit sale and delicate commission, let me discuss the accounting treatment first. When the consignor will send the goods to the in case of consignment, basically we need to prepare the basic account which is known as consignment in the books of the consignor. In addition to the consignment account, which is open for the purpose of calculating profit or loss on consignment, we need to open two more accounts which may be considered as necessary. These are consignee's account, in order to calculate how much amount is due to the consignee or receivable from the consignee, and another goods sent on consignment account to determine how much amount of goods has been sent, and this amount has to be adjusted against purchase or opening stock in the trading account. So that is why three necessary accounts are prepared: consignment account, goods sent on consignment account, and consignee account. Okay. In addition to that, you may prepare consignment stock account. However, it is not always considered to be the necessary account when you are preparing for the examination purpose. Okay. Now, in the case of consignee, actually he needs to just keep accounting related to how much amount is due to the consignor. So the consignee will prepare one account called the consignor's account or consignor's personal account. In addition, in order to keep track of its commission, it need to prepare another account called the commission account or commission received account. So these are the two necessary accounts in the books of the consignee. Now, how the accounting is done? When the goods are sent to the consignment, in the books of the consignor, the consignment account is debited because these goods are charged to the consignment account as an expense in that way. Then the goods sent are credited to goods sent on consignment account. On the consignment, at the time of sending the goods, the consignor may incur different expenditure, may be recurring, may not be recurring. Okay, so that doesn't matter. Whenever the consignor is incurring the expenses, since the consignment account is an similar to PL account, okay, so in that way it is a nominal account. Any expenses incurred, consignment account is debited. So consignment account will be debited, and since you are incurring the expenses either in form of cash or through check, then cash or bank account is credited. Next, it may so happen that you are giving certain amount of advance to the consignee by accepting a bill or by drawing or by accepting the bill drawn by the consignee. So in that case, bills receivable account debit to consignee's personal account will be the accounting entry for accepting any bill in favor of the consignee. Okay. Then for accepting for the consignee to accept any bill in favor of the consignor, because consignee is entitled to pay the amount when sold. So as an advance, the consignee is paying the amount. So the consignee accepting the bill of exchange will be you are drawing a bill, so BR account debit to the consignee's personal account. Okay. Now for this, the consignee will prepare in the books of in his book certain record. He will debit the consignor account, because consignor is the receiver of the bill and he is accepting, so bills payable is credited. Then the consignment will reach to the consignee's end, and the consignee will incur certain expenses to unload that consignment, to take that consignment to its own godown, and to sell that consignment from that godown. So all the expenses incurred by the consignee, for all the expenses incurred by the consignee, consignment account is debited, and since these expenses are being incurred by the consignee and he will be refunded afterwards, so consignee's personal account is will be credited. It will be recorded by the consignee as well. Consignee will record the amount and debit the consignor account, because in future the consignor will pay this amount, and since he is incurring the expenses, so cash or bank account in the books of consignee is credited. Now on consignee reporting sales, consignee, since on the sales will the sale proceeds will be collected by the consignee and it will be remitted to the consignor. So when sold, goods are sold, consignee's personal account is debited and consignment is credited, because it is an income in case of consignment, so consignment account is credited. In the books of consignee, since consignee is receiving the amount, the cash or bank account is debited, and consignor account, because it will be remitted to the consignor later on, so consignor is credited as a creditor who will be repaid afterwards. For charging the commission, again it is an expense, so consignment account is debited, and consignee's personal account, because this expense consignee is entitled to these expenses, so consignee's account is credited. In the books of consignee, this commission will be paid afterwards by the consignor, so consignor's account is debited, and commission, since it is an income, commission or commission received account is credited. Finally, if there is any closing stock, then stock on consignment account is debited to consignment, because this stock is actually adjusted against the goods sent, so that will be recorded on the credit side of the consignment. If there is any abnormal loss, the normal loss no recording is done. If there is any abnormal loss, then abnormal loss account is debited to the consignment account, and that abnormal loss, the net loss is charged to the PL. Now the valuation of abnormal loss and stock on consignment are more or less similar. Okay, so that is a basic accounting treatment, and there may be certain additional adjustment, or there may be certain additional variation in the question regarding the invoice price and cost price. So if the goods are sent at the cost price, then everything will be recorded at cost price, but if the goods are sent at the invoice price, then all these transactions will be recorded at the invoice price, and corresponding loading against the goods sent against the stock will be recorded afterwards. Okay, this delegated commission we will discuss later on. Let us now take up one numerical problem. on this consignment, the basic issues. Okay, I think the illustration is now visible. Okay, so this is a very simple kind of a problem, very basic kind of a problem that I am taking. So let me see whether if you have any query or question. Audio video is clear. Okay, thank you, sir. This is the first lecture, right? This is the first lecture on accounting. When the class will start? 11:10. The class is already running. Is there a legal contract between consignor and consignee? Right. In case of consignment, there is always a legal contract between consignor and consignee, which contain all the terms of the contract. Both expenses incurred at the time of calculating closing stock. Now, at the time of calculating closing stock, you need to consider only the non-recurring expenses portion, not the recurring expenses portion. The non-recurring expenses incurred by the consignor and the non-recurring expenses incurred by the consignee proportionately on the goods for which you are calculating the valuation should be considered. Okay. Okay. So let me again go to the discussion. Now, this is a very simple type of question. On 1st January 2015, Arup of Kolkata consigned to Swarup of Delhi 1500 bottles of oil costing rupees 700 each after incurring the following expenses. Transport charges 12,000 and transit insurance 4,500. So these two are the expenses incurred by Arup. That means the consignor who is consigning the goods to the consignor, a consignee, that is Swarup. At the end of 31st March, at the end of the accounting year, 31st March 2015, the consignee, that is Swarup, sent an account sales giving all particulars about the consignment. Swarup incurred the following expenses: carriage 3,000, selling expenses 8,000. So these are the expenses incurred by the consignee. Swarup sold 1,400 bottles. So out of 1,500, 1,400 has been sold at a price of 1,000 each. The unsold stock, that is 100 bottles, were valued at 71,300. So they have given the valuation directly. We need not to make the valuation separately. The consignee is entitled to a commission of 10% on sales. You are required to make journal entries, necessary ledger accounts, and extract of the final accounts in the books of Mr. Arup. Now let us keep this journal entry because the same thing will be repeated then. We are directly going to the ledger accounts. Now, as I have mentioned, in case of this consignment, in the books of the consignor, the necessary accounts will include the consignment account, the consignee account, and goods sent on consignment account. Okay, so here consignment account we are preparing, Swarup account, that is the consignee account, and goods sent on consignment. These three accounts we are preparing. These are the necessary account. Okay, consignment stock account also you may prepare. However, here that particular it doesn't have any that much variation regarding that consignment stock account. So in that way you may skip also. Okay. Now for the goods sent portion, 1,500 bottles of oil was sent costing rupees 700. So consignment account debit to goods sent on consignment. It is 1,500 into 700. 1,500 into 700, 10,50,000. At the time of sending the goods, the consignor incurred the expenses, transport charges, and transit insurance. So to bank expenses incurred, this is by the consignor. So to bank, transport charges 12,000 and transit insurance 4,500, total 16,500. Okay. Then there are certain expenses incurred by the consignee also when he received the consignment. So expenses incurred by the consignee we are recording now. So consignment account debit to the consignee, that is to Swarup account, carriage 3,000 and selling expenses 8,000, total 11,000. Then Swarup sold the goods 1,400 oil bottles at the rate 1,000 per bottle. So 1,400 into 1,000, so 14 lakh is the sale proceeds. Now all these expenses incurred by the consignee and sell by the consignee are recorded in the Swarup account. So Swarup account, on the credit side you may find by consignment expenses incurred, and debit side to consignment for sell 14 lakh. Now on this 14 lakh sell, Swarup is entitled to 10% commission. So to Swarup account, 10% commission on 14 lakh, that is 1,40,000. So it is credited to the Swarup account by consignment 1,40,000. Next comes the question of unsold goods. so that unsold goods are to be valued. Now they have given us the valuation of our unsold goods directly. So here no direct valuation we need to perform, just to mention the amount directly. So by consignment stock 71,300 we have mentioned, and that has given us a total of 14,71,300, and this debit side total has been printed wrong. Okay, has been printed wrong. It will be 14,71,300, and it has been printed wrong. Right? Okay, maybe because of some technical issues I cannot strike off this amount, because it is not the directly PDF file, it is the image one. Okay, image file. So nevertheless it is 14,71,300 on both sides, and then you calculate the balancing figure, so that will be 2,53,800. the profit has been correctly specified. So in that way the consignment profit is 2,53,800. Since this profit is from an indirect business, so it will be directly transferred to our main profit and loss account. So this profit and consignment is transferred to PL account. Now the Swaroop account, where you have recorded the sales and also the expenses incurred and commission due, will give you a balancing figure of 12,49,000, which means that this much amount Swaroop is required to pay or required to remit to Arup. Okay, so this is the amount due from consignee. And in case of goods sent on consignment, it is having a credit by consignment 10,50,000, and this goods sent, since it is taken out from the normal business and being sent to the consignment, so it is actually adjusted against your normal purchase. So to purchase or trading account, you can say 10,50,000 is adjusted. So that is a basic representation of how the accounting is done in the books of the consignor. Okay, now this one, let us take another example. Here let me see what is the okay, now this is regarding Delcader Commission, so we shall cover it later on. First we will discuss the Delcader Commission. Now let us take one example of calculating the value of the closing stock or loss in transit or loss at go down. Okay, under different situations. So it will clarify certain confusion from your mind, how to calculate the value of closing stock, or how to value the loss in transit or loss in go down. Okay, so in this particular illustration we won't take on the accounting issue, but the valuation issue we are going to take. How under different condition the valuation is done. Mr. P consigned 1,000 unit costing rupees 200 each to Mr. Q with the instruction of selling the goods at an uniform price of 250 per unit. Mr. P incurred transport charges of 5,000 for sending the goods. Mr. Q was entitled to a commission of 10% on the sale process. So here P is the consignor, sending 1,000 units of goods costing 200 each to Mr. Q, the consignee, and the goods are expected to be sold at 250 per unit. So that is the expected selling price as per the instruction of the consignor. Mr. P, that is the consignor, incurred transport charges 5,000. So that is the expenses incurred by the consignor for sending the goods. Then Mr. Q is entitled to 10% commission. Mr. Q, that is the consignee, has sold the goods after incurring expenses. Transit insurance 3,000, go down rent 8,000, selling expenses 5,500. So these are the expenses by the consignee. You need to calculate the value of unsold goods lying in the godown of Mr. Q under each of the following independent situation. So each one situation we will take up separately, and also determine the value of lost in transit and goods lost in godown in the relevant cases. The first option is where the consignee has sold 700 units. Now you have consigned 1,000 units, 700 has been sold, so only 300 is the closing stock. There is no loss in transit or go down. So how to calculate? Now this will be calculated in this manner. You need to prepare a statement with a particular section and one column for the units and another column for the amount or rupees. Then you will record first the cost of goods sent 1000 into 200. So unit column you will mention 1000 and amount column 2 lakh. Then with this you will add, since we are considering all the goods at the same point of time, we will add the entire consignor's expenses of non-recurring nature and entire consignee's expenses of non-recurring nature, and then calculate the proportionate value of the unsold stock. Okay, so here consignor's expenses were the transport charges only 5000, and this transport charges, it is a non-recurring expense. It is incurred on the entire consignment only once. It is not incurred on the same consignment repetitively. So it is a non-recurring expense. So 5000 is added. Obviously expenses will increase the value and not the unit. So it is added to the amount column. This gives us the goods, the value of the goods received by the consignee. So the consignee received the goods which is now worth 2,05,000, 1000 units, 2,05,000. With this, consignee incurs certain expenses, but out of expenses incurred by the consignee, only transit insurance is incurred only once on the consignment. But this go down rent, these are to be expenses until and unless goods are sold and remain in the go down. Or selling expense, it is also to be incurred on different on the units repetitively on the same consignment units. That is why these are recurring expenses and transit insurance is non-recurring. So transit insurance is added directly to the amount column. It also doesn't increase the unit. So now the 1000 units of goods are having a value of 2,08,000. So you need to calculate the unsold stock, which is 1000 minus 700 sold, so 300 units only. So proportionate cost will be calculated. So 2,08,000 into 300 by 1000, that will give you 62,400 the unsold stock. Okay, so in that way, considering the entire consignment, you can calculate the value of closing stock where there is no loss in transit or loss at go down. Then let us take another situation. 100 units were lost in transit and the consignee has sold 90% of the goods received, that is 90% of the remaining goods. Okay, in transit means from consignors to consignee. In between this process, the goods were lost. So now we will consider that also. We'll start with the same thing, that is cost of goods sent 1000 unit, 2 lakh amount. With this, since the goods were lost at the lost during the transit, that means before the goods are uploaded in the consignment, sent by the consignor, that loss doesn't occur. The loss occurred only after the goods left from the consignor's place. So consignor's expenses are added directly, again 5000. So 1000 unit of goods are now valued at 2,05,000. Now of this goods, 100 units are getting lost. So since 1000 units of goods are having a value of 2,500, 2,05,000, we need to calculate the goods lost in transit as proportionate of this 2,05,000. So 2,05,000 into 100 by 1000 will be the calculation, that is 20,500. And obviously this loss will reduce the units in the consignment of consignment. So now the consignee will receive only 900 units of the goods and its value will be 1,84,500 because that abnormal loss separately has been valued. So this value is not to be received by the consignee. Then consignee on this 900 goods will incur the expenses, and the expenses, only non-recurring expenses are to be added, which is 3,000. So that is added here. So now the 900 units of goods is having a value of 1,87,500. Since 90% of this goods received has been sold, so we need to now calculate the closing stock. Now 1000 unit was the total units sent, 100 were lost in transit, so 900 were received. Of these 900, sales was 90%. So 900 into 90%, that means 810 units have been sold. So out of 1000, 100 lost in transit, 810 has been sold. So total 910 is deducted. So 90 units are left. Unsold stock is 90 units. Since 900 units of goods are having a value of 187,500, we need to calculate the proportionate amount for 90 units only, which will be accordingly 18,750. So in this way, when there is loss in transit, you need to calculate simultaneously the loss in transit and unsold stock in the same statement. It will be easy for you to calculate in this way. Let us take up another situation where 100 units of goods are destroyed due to accidental fire, but not in transit, but in the godown. And the consignee has sold 700 units. Obviously, go down means the consignees go down because goods have already been consigned and then the accident obviously had occurred. Okay, so this is the third situation. Again, starting with the cost of goods sent 1000 unit 2 lakh rupees. Consignor's expenses are directly added, no doubt about that. 1000 units. So goods received by the consignee is 1000 unit with a value of 2 lakh 5. On this, the consignee has incurred a transit insurance. Since it is a transit insurance, obviously when taking the goods from the port to its own site, go down, the expenses has been incurred. So these expenses actually incurred first, and then the goods has gone to the go down, and then it was lost. So the expenses are added directly. Okay, then 1000 unit goods at the go down were valued at 2,08,000, and then in the go down there was a destruction due to fire or any other accident. So goods destroyed in the go down will be valued based on this 2,08,000. Since 1000 units of goods are valued at 2,08,000, 100 units will be valued at 2 lakh or 20,800. So now the consignee is having only 900 units of goods left for sale at the go down, lying at the go down, whose value is 1,87,200. Out of this 900, he sold 700. So 200 still left. So the value will be calculated based on this value lying at the go down after the lost goods. Okay. So 187,200, if it is the value of 900 units, what will be the value of 200? It will be into 200 by 900. So it is 41,600. So in that way, we have calculated the goods lost at go down and unsold stock simultaneously. Now let us go one step further. In situation D, 100 units of goods are lost in transit. Further 300 stolen from the go down, that means lost at the go down. The consignee sold 500 units. Okay. So starting with cost of goods sent 1000 units 2 lakh. Consignor's expenses 5,000 added. So 1000 unit is now valued at 2 lakh 5,000. 100 lost in transit. So it will be now valued. Lost in transit actually occurs in between consignor and consignee's place. Okay. So lost in transit 2,05,000 into 100 by 1000. So 20,500 deducted. So consignee basically received 900 unit at 1,84,500, which he had taken to the go down by incurring transit insurance 3,000. So at the go down, the goods are valued 900 units, 1,87,500, and then at the go down, out of these 900 goods, 300 units were stolen. So the value of those 300 units stolen is 300 by 900 into 187,500. So it is 62,500. So finally, the consignee is left with 600 units of goods for sale at a value of 1,25,000. Of this 600, he sold actually 500. So 100 is left as unsold stock. So its value will be 1,25,000 into 100 by 600 or 20,833. Okay. Next. So this was loss in transit, loss at go down. Finally, in point number E, 100 units of goods were lost in transit. Further 200 have been destroyed due to accidental fire in the go down. And due to inherent nature, 1% of the goods sent were considered as normal loss. The consignee sold 500 units. So now we need to take the case of normal loss as well. Now cost of goods sent 1000 unit 2 lakh. Consignor's expenses added 5,000. So 1000 unit now valued at 2 lakh 5. Lost in transit 100. So deducted from this 100 units, proportionate value 20,500. So received by the consignee is 900 unit at 1,84,500. On this, consignee incurred expenses 3,000. So now in the go down, 900 units are valued at 187,500. Of this, 300 were destroyed in the go down So 300 proportionate amount has been deducted, 60 to 500 just in the previous case. So 600 units are still lying in the godown at value 1,25,000. Now regarding normal loss, until and unless it is mentioned that normal loss occurred in transit, you should assume that normal loss occurred at the godown, and at the end of all you should consider, just before sell you consider the normal loss. However, if there is a normal loss during transit, then that normal loss unit are to be deducted before you calculate the loss in transit. So if in this case the normal loss was mentioned as occurred occurred during transit, then before calculating goods lost in transit, first you need to deduct that 10 units. So actually 990 units would have been valued at 2,05,000, and then lost in transit would have been calculated 100 by 910 into 2,05,000 in that way. Okay. However, here that is not mentioned, so we assume that normal loss occurred at the godown only. So after the destruction, you consider the normal loss. Okay, so that depends on your assumption. In some books you will find that they have deducted the normal loss first and then calculated the goods destroyed in godown. So that differs. Okay, and accordingly the answer will differ. However, you may be advised to consider this normal loss at the end, because lost in godown is a one-time phenomena, but normal loss occurs repetitively. That is, it is a continuous one. Okay, that is why it is advisable to consider at the end only. So they have calculated 10 units to be the normal loss, and 519 net units are now having a value of 1,25,000. So if now 500 units if sell, so 90 unit of closing stock will be remaining, and its value will be 1,25,000 into 90 by 590, or 19,068. Okay. Finally, though it is not that usual, okay, to find in any examination problem, there may be a theoretical possibility that the goods are valued not at cost but also at NRV, that is net realizable value. Suppose due to severe competition in the market, the consignee has sold 700 units at a price of 220 each with the approval of the consignor. That is, the price has gone down from 250, the expected price, to 220. Moreover, the expected selling price on remaining goods will not exceed the current selling price. That is, the rest of the units are also expected to be sold at 220 or below that. So in that case, how you will value the closing stock? In this situation, suppose there is no closing stock, there is no abnormal loss in godown or in transit. Now, in the very first situation, when there was no closing stock and 700 units were sold, we actually calculated the cost of the goods unsold 300 units as 62,400. Okay, so in this case also, apparently the cost of the goods is 62,400, cost of the unsold stock. But as per accounting standard 2, we know that goods are to be valued at cost or net realizable value, whichever is lower. So we need to calculate the NRV also and see whether NRV is lower than that or not. Now, unsold stock is 300 units, which is expected to be valued or sold at 220. So the expected selling price of this goods is 66,300 into 220. And since from this sell, the consignee is entitled to 10% commission. So on this 66,000, 10%, that is 6,600, is an estimated cost which is unavoidable. So basically NRV of unsold stock is 59,400, while the cost of the unsold stock you have calculated 62,400. So based on the cost or market value, whichever is lower principal, you finally can select the value of unsold stock to be 59,400. So in this way, under different situation, closing stock, abnormal loss in transit, abnormal loss at godown, normal loss are to be treated. Okay. So in that way, we have covered in a comprehensive manner all possible situation of unsold stock, loss in transit, normal loss, loss at godown. Okay. Okay. Now let me see whether there is some questions or not. Okay. Right. I need to share the Google Classroom detail. Let me just give me 1 minute. Let me just share, copy that Google Classroom code just need to open the Google Classroom and copy the code. It is for paper 2. I will be typing the classroom code in the chat box. You just copy it there from. CMA webinar classes paper 2. It is D53. You can write it down also. It is D53 QG double O. D53 QG double O. Let me write it down in the chat box section. D53 QG double O. Okay. D53 QG double O. Now in this classroom you can visit and download the notes on consignment, the practice set as well as the theoretical notes. And in the theoretical note I have included certain MCQ also. Okay, so that also you may avail. Now it is why I started with the consignment. Basically this webinar classes are not that regular. Okay, so in the sense, if we start with the very first chapter, it will not be possible for us to continue up to the end. So only we select some important chapters and cover them. Okay, in that way. So then, sir, did you give any classroom link? I have given the classroom link just now, so you can follow the classroom link now. Closing stock is calculated on cost. Yes, closing stock is calculated at cost, but it is the cost incurred up to the present situation and present location of the stock. So accordingly, consignors non-recurring expenses and consignees non-recurring expenses are also added proportionately. Then right, Ganesh, you have rightly determined the profit. Okay, sir, is this the first class? Yes, this is the first class. Where is available notes in the classroom code? You just avail. Sales commission 28,000. So normal loss is calculated from actual goods sent. Normal loss is actually when it is given that the normal loss normal loss occurred at the transit process, then it will be deducted while before calculating the goods lost in transit. Similarly, if it is given that normal loss occurred before the goods lost in the godown, it will be accordingly calculated. Okay, but if nothing is mentioned, you may assume that normal loss is a recurring process and it is incurred repetitively. So in the situation that we have considered in the problem, we assume at the end the normal loss was adjusted at the end only, but normal loss only will reduce the unit but not will get any cost share. The class will be uploaded in the YouTube, right? Cost or NRV, whichever is lower is actually the final valuation methodology. Google Classroom code I have shared. There is a list of recommended books in CMA prospectus on each paper. Should we read them? You may read them, but first you read the study mat in detail, then you go to any other reference books. Okay, because in some cases you may find that questions are similar to those given in the study mat directly. So in that case, uh, referring too many books will not be that required if you study the study material in detail. Thank you for the session. Okay, I am to continue a bit after 12 also, because I have some portion of Delcator Commission related areas left, so that way I will be discussing. Best way of reading a study material, I will discuss those after some time. Okay, now let me just cover today's class note, rest of the portion of the today's class note. Okay. Now another important area for consignment is the arrangement of del creditor commission and credit sales. Now actually consignor is a person who is not a local one where the goods are being sold. Consignee is the person who is the local agent. So consignee will be in a better position to realize the amount of credit sale from the consignment debtors. So when consignor asks the consignee to sell the goods on credit to the customers, there is always a risk that some of the amount from the consignment debtors may not be realized, or there will be a bad debt loss. And since the consignor is the owner of the goods, any loss of bad debt is actually the onus of the consignor primarily. But since the consignor is not in better position to collect the amount from the consignment debtors, he may ask the consignee to collect the same on behalf of the consignor and also to bear the bad debt loss. However, for that additional risk, the consignee will demand some additional commission, and this additional commission is known as the del creditor commission. Okay, so basically we may face two type of situation in a consignment problem, where there is credit sale but no del creditor commission is offered by the consignor to the consignee, and secondly where there is credit sale and consignor offers del creditor commission to the consignee. Okay, so credit sale is common in both the cases, but in the first situation consignor is not providing any del creditor commission to the consignee, and in the second situation he is providing the del creditor commission. So what will be the changed situation? And in case the del creditor commission is provided, it is the consignee who will be entitled to bear the bad debt loss. So the additional risk of bad debt loss the consignee will be bearing in that situation, and for that he will be receiving that del creditor commission. However, del creditor commission is calculated on the entire sale, just like the normal ordinary commission. It is not only not calculated on the exclusively on credit sale. Okay, in that way. So entries in the books of the consignor when the del creditor commission is given. In the books of the consignor, when the del creditor commission is given, the consignor is totally relieved about collection from the consignment debtor. He will charge the consignee only and get everything from the consignee. The consignee, on the other hand, will put his effort to collect the proceeds of the consignor, and if anything remains uncollected, that is bad debt, it will be borne by the consignee. So when the del creditor commission is paid to the consignee, the consignor will only record everything to be receivable, all the full proceeds to be receivable from the consignee, and it will not at all record any bad debt. It will not at all record any collection from the consignment debtors. It will, because it will be the onus of the consignee. Only it will pay the additional commission, the del creditor commission, for which the same entry will be done just like the ordinary commission. It is consignment account debit to the consignee's personal account. So when del creditor commission is given, consignor basically ignores the fact that there is any credit sale and charge everything from the consignee, just pays the extra amount, the del creditor commission to the consignee. Okay, what the consignee will do in the books of the consignee, when del creditor commission is given, the consignee will record the consignment debtors from which the goods have been sold on credit. So for any kind of sale, previously you have seen that the amount, if it is cash sales, it is received by the consignee directly. So it is bank account debit to consignor because it will be later on remitted to the consignor. But since here the amount is due, not received, so consignment debtors account debit to consignor will be the entry for credit sale. For bad debt, there will be, for bad debt actually consignment debtors are reduced. Bad debt is the loss which reduces the consignment debtor, and this loss is charged to the profit or loss. Okay, so for bad debt he will make the entry bad debt account debit to the consignment debtor. Okay, because those debtors will not be able to pay, so their account are credited. Next, the amount realized will be recorded in the way cash or bank account debit to the person who is making us the payment, that is the consignment debtors, for amount realized from the debtors. And for closing the bad debt account, because bad debt is a loss which the consignor has to bear for getting that additional delicate commission, this bad debt loss is adjusted against that delicate commission or commission received in total. So commission received account debit to bad debt will be the adjustment entry, so that you can calculate what is the net profit you are getting by assuming this extra amount of risk, okay, and getting that extra amount of commission. When delicate commission is however not given, the entire credit sale related transaction including the bad debt will be recorded by the consignor, and consignee will be responsible only for the cash sales portion. So for selling the goods, it will be consignment debtors account debit to consignment. That is, consignment is still credited because it is a sale, but instead of charging the consignee, we are debiting the consignment debtor because we are responsible for collecting the amount from them. For bad debt also, since it is an expense, instead of writing temporarily bad debt and then again charging that bad debt to the consignment account, you can directly debit the consignment account to consignment debtors because they are not going to pay now. For realization of cash, since you are now collecting the cash, so cash account is debited, and since the amount is collected by the consignment debtor from the consignment debtors, so it will be to consignment debtors. However, if on behalf of you the collection only is done, not the bad debt loss is borne by the consignee, but the collection is done by the consignee, then consignee account will be debited instead of cash account, and consignment debtor will be credited. Okay, but when you are not providing any delicate commission and taking the risk of credit sale and bad debt, the consignee is relieved from the such duty. So in the books of the consignee, for this credit sale and bad debt, there will be no entry in the books of the consignee. Okay, in that way, the credit sales and delicate commission will be treated. So I have included one problem on this credit sale and delicate commission. Let me quickly just go to that practice set. It is illustration number 2, I think. Right, it is illustration number 2. Journal entry in the books of the consignee, preparation of ledger accounts. We will be considering only the ledger account portion. Till delicate commission is given when the consignee is entitled to the delicate commission. So that portion we are going to discuss now with the consignee's books of account. Okay. Now here it is mentioned that August 4, 2014, Viru of Delhi sends 500 cases of sunglasses costing 600 each to Dhoni of Ranchi on consignment basis. Viru paid Faith and Insurance 4,800. Dhoni makes an advance 45,000. On 31st December 14, Dhoni forwards on account sales to Viru showing 360 cases to be sold at sold for 800 on cash basis and 90 cases at 900 on credit basis. Dhoni paid 4,400 for carriage, 1,400 for rent. Commission 10% ordinary and 5% delicate. Dhoni realized all the due from the customers and remitted the balance due by the bankrupt with such account sales. So there is basically no bad debt in this situation. Okay, let me go to the consignor's account first. So let me see whether here only the consignee's account we need to prepare. In the consignment account, obviously you know that you need to prepare a consignment account, a consignee's account, and goods sent account. And since consignor is paying the delicate commission, it will be just like illustration 1. That is, for goods sent to goods consignment account debit to goods sent. For expenses incurred by the consignor, it will be to cash or bank. For consignee's expenses, it will be to consignee account. For commission, for both Delcator as well as this ordinary commission, it will be to consignee account. On the credit side, for sales, it will be by consignee account, because you have given them the Delcator commission. So you need not to think about the consignment data at all. Okay, and consignment stock will be valued accordingly, and finally profit will be calculated. Now let us now see how the consignee will record everything, because here the consignee is entitled to the Delcator commission, and accordingly he is to bear the credit risk. Okay, so first of all, starting with the advance given, that is the first situation. Now since the advance has been given by the consignee, so consignee will credit its bank account, and then advance is received by the consignor. So consignor account or video account debit to bank account is 45,000. Then consignee has incurred certain expenses which will be refunded by the consignor. So it will be consignor account debit to bank for the expenses incurred. For sales, the cash portion, it will be consignee receiving the amount, so bank account debit, but it will be remitted to the consignor, so consignor account is being credited. So by bank, it is 2,88,000 the cash sales. But for the credit sale, the consignment debtor will be debited. So consignment debtor account debit to Vidu, or Vidu account credited by consignment debtor, it is 90 units into 90 units into 900 per unit. So 90 into 900, so 81,000 is the consignment debtors. So there will be a consignment debtor account as well, on which you are to put to Vidu account 81,000. Okay. Now the commission. The commission is on at the rate. Sorry, commission is at the rate 10% on the sales. Okay. So 10% the ordinary commission and 5% the Delcator commission. Our total sales is 2,88,000 plus 81, so 369 on total sale, not only on the credit sale. On total sale, not only the ordinary commission but also the Delcator commission, both will be calculated. So we get commission on 55,350. Now the amount realized from the consignment debtor, you get the amount, so by bank or bank account debit to consignment debtors. Since full amount has been realized, it is credited by 81. Suppose there is one debtor having a due of say 10,000, he could pay only 9,000. So there is bad debt loss, suppose 1,000. So we could write in that way, by bank 80,000, by bad debt 1,000. Okay. Then the consignor account will be balanced, and the amount finally due is will be remitted to the consignor finally. However, if there is a commission earned is accordingly posted by Vidu account 55,350, and this commission is transferred to your PL account, because commission is an indirect income. But if you had this bad debt on the consignment debtor credit side, by bad debt would have been 1,000, and that bad debt account you could have prepared here. So that bad debt account on the debit side, you could write consignment debtor 1,000, and you need to close the bad debt. So on the credit side of the bad debt, you had to write by commission earned, because this bad debt is to be adjusted against your commission. So on the credit side of bad debt, if you write by commission earned, then bad debt will be posted to the debit side of commission account. So you are getting commission 55,350, and your bad debt in that case will be adjusted against that commission 1,000. So in the PL, your net income 54,350 in that case would have been transferred. So that is a situation of Delcator commission and bad debt in the case of consignee. Okay. So this note I have uploaded in that Google Classroom. You can download it directly from that Google Classroom. Okay. Achha. Now let me take up if you have any question, and then I will end the class. Now Aditya is asking, sir, what is the best way of reading our study material so that we understand clearly the real world application and find it interesting? Now at the foundation level, you may not have a detailed coverage of the real world situation. So just you need to have the basic idea of accounting from that fundamentals of accounting study mat. So you go through the study mat, and first you go through the theoretical portion, and then take up the illustration which are attached to the theoretical portion. Only after you complete studying the study material given by the institute, you goes to any other book. Any standard book will do. Any standard accounting book will do at the BCom level. Okay. Now, sir, please share Google Classroom. I have shared the Google Classroom code. I think you have got the Google Classroom code. If not, you can ask me in the chat box section again. Sir, I am new student, so how should I join the classroom? The Google Classroom, okay, I have created the Google Classroom just yesterday. Okay, so nobody has joined yet, perhaps. So I'm sharing that code. You just copy that code. You just get that code, and you use your Gmail account. In the Gmail account home page, you will find on the right hand upper section 9 dots. If you click that 9 dots, then under that particular 9 dots, you will find a number of apps. In that section, there will be an app called Google Classroom. If you click on that Google Classroom, you will be redirected to a new page. And again, on the right hand side of that page, you will get a link, a plus sign you will get. If you click on that plus sign, there will be two options: join class or create class. You just click on join class, and then on the dialog box that will be prompted, you give the code that I have shared. Just add that code and click on join. You will be joined in the Google Classroom, and in that Google Classroom there will be a section called classwork. So in that classwork, you will find this note uploaded. You will just visit the note and download it completely. Okay, in that way you can join. Sir, please tell us how to crack accounts paper easily. Just study hard. Next class I don't know yet. It has not yet been communicated to me. Sir, please share for paper 5 also. The paper 5 I will be sharing in the paper 5 class now. So, sir, what are the important topics? As you are asking, let me share paper 5 code. Let me see if it is now available or not. No, I will share it in the next class. Okay, next class I think will be in very quick. It may not be next week, but maybe a week after that. Acha. Sir, what are the important topics to be taught by you in future classes? In the future classes, I will try to take up issues like final accounts of trading concern, non-trading concern, single entry, joint venture, bill of exchange. Okay, those topic I will be covering. But that depends how many classes I am given. Okay. Okay, when will the exam? I don't have any particular idea when the exam can be actually scheduled. In Delegate Commission, right, the consignee will bear the bad debt, right, or he will collect the debtors for that commission given. Now, both. Now, in the case of Delegate Commission, when Delegate Commission given to the consignee is entitled, consignee is entrusted to collect everything from the consignment debtors. Okay. And if some debtor fail to pay the amount, that is, if there is any bad debt, that bad debt will be shared by the will be borne by the consignee. Okay, and that is why consignee records the consignment debtor account as well as bad debt account in case Delegate Commission is given to him. Sir, please say how should I join? I have now described in detail. Monitor not visible, sir. Please. I think others can see it clearly. Your class is very interesting, sir. Thanks. Thank you. I also expect lot of interaction with you. Okay. If you have any kind of question, you can ask. Even during the presentation, you can ask. I will regularly visit the chat box section and take up the questions. Okay. Sir, institute material is enough for examination. First you read institute material, and then if you have some extra time, then you go for other reference books. Okay, first you study the institute book. Okay, leaving that institute book, studying so much other reference materials, that won't be very good. Okay, you study institute material first, and also I would also recommend you to solve all the past year's question paper. That will give you a lot of confidence. Okay, and also while solving that particular question paper, try to give you the time target, and accordingly try to actually give the answer within time. That will also help you to manage the time Okay, because the in the final examination you will get 3 hours time in total. Okay, so you require that time management. Sir, I have just started foundation studies, so should I first go to? No, it is not required that you should first go for consignment. You can just cover the preliminary areas. Okay, but if you are simultaneously doing the BCom and have that idea of those preliminary areas, you can directly go to the consignment as well. Okay, it is not that in order to know the consignment you need to know everything from the basics. Okay, sir, institute material is enough for examination or any other? Institute material is enough. Then you study then you solve the past year's question paper. If time left, you can go for reference books. Sir, while reading, many question arises such as how did the word develop and so on. But once I start searching for it, I get lost. Please help. If you have any specific question, you can ask. If you have any specific question, you can ask. If I know that answer, I will surely help you. Achha, sir, are live recorded classes for foundation on institute website helpful? Yes, live recorded classes are obviously helpful or obviously helpful. Okay, but simultaneously you read the foundation study material. Okay, that will do a lot. That will help you a lot. Okay, I think you don't have any further question. Google Classroom code has been shared, so you can copy that classroom code. I am again posting that classroom code. If some have joined afterwards, okay, you can copy the code there from and join the classroom. Okay, so join the classroom soon. You will get the consignment related notes there. And as I will be taking more further classes, I will be uploading the notes in the Google Classroom section. So from that section, you can access all the notes that I will be posting later on. Okay, so thank you. If you don't have any other question, let me then end the class. I suppose you don't have any other question now. Let me see finally. Thank you. Okay, I have shared the classroom code once. Okay, I have shared the classroom code and let me share it again as per your request. This is the classroom code. You just visit the chat box section, you will get the code. So I think now I can end the class. Thank you very much. Okay, see you next time. Thank you.